Disney Plus has finally arrived, along with a great snow day for most of the United States, and with it came the first episode of The Mandalorian. And we're going to go into all the details about the first episode right now. Hello everybody, and welcome back to another review video. My name is Joker, and today we're going to be going over all of the things that were in the first episode of The Mandalorian, including some things we possibly may have missed. Just straight up on the record right now, I'm telling you that this is one of the best things I've ever seen in TV ever. It was absolutely everything I wanted it to be in a Star Wars TV show, and that I'm happy. I'm completely convinced that this is going to be my new favorite thing for the rest of time. But that wasn't always the case, because when The Mandalorian was announced in November of 2017, everyone was excited, but very hesitant to see what Disney would bring to the table as Star Wars' first ever live-action series. But it didn't disappoint. It was quite possibly everything that we wanted it to be, and more. From the beginning with the cold opening, no crawl, no text describing anything, just putting you straight into the action and straight into the story without skipping a beat. And the overall dark and just gritty, cold tone of the entire first episode shows you exactly what this Outer Rim area of the Star Wars galaxy would look like during a time that is post-Empire. As we gather from this first episode, this show takes place after Return of the Jedi at some point in time. I don't know exactly when, we haven't gone far into it to figure that out yet, but I'm imagining it's in a time where the Empire has just fallen, as Imperial credits are still in main currency, but the bounty hunters around the show are claiming that they would rather be paid with something more valuable than Imperial credits. But that's exactly what this show is about, being a bounty hunter. It's just the Mandalorian on his own, with no other name besides the Mandalorian, going around collecting bounties and trying to raise enough money for what we thought would be just for himself and his own personal benefit, but as it turns out, there's a whole lot more to the story. As on some of the planets they're on, there are underground Mandalorian camps, which apparently he's a part of, and he's trying to raise enough money to help the Mandalorian people that he has left. There's a lot of discussion in the show about what happened necessarily to the Mandalorians and the planet of Mandalore, especially during the Clone Wars, as we see a couple of flashbacks describing some of the things that happened to him as a child. And this all leads me to believe, at least, that from this first episode, that there's not a lot of Mandalorians left from the purge of their planet, and this is all he can do to give back to the people that have survived. And that's where the whole main plot of the story comes in, is when he goes in to meet a client who gives him a really important job with no name or anything like that, just gives him a tracker to find his target, and then the show is off. And we'll get into more of that part in a second, because the client and the character they're hunting is both very important characters. But on that same topic, let's go roll through this cast of characters, because right from the get-go we get some amazing characters. First and foremost is the man himself, the Mandalorian. That's no other name to him. Pedro Pascal plays a fantastic job as just this gritty man with no history and no backstory is what it seems like. He's just sticking to himself and wanting to get the job done without getting in anyone's way or anyone else helping him out. Throughout the course of the show, we meet a lot more characters, such as Grief Karga, who is going to be a reoccurring character played by the one and only Carl Weathers. Having him in the Star Wars universe is such a blessing. I really think it's a treat for a lot of Star Wars fans seeing him involved in this way, and I definitely think he's going to be a big character that's going to be reoccurring throughout the show. And one of the more interesting characters that I didn't think would have that big of a role, and I guarantee we will see again, is Nick Nolte's Ugnaught character, known as Kuiil, or Kill, or Cool. The way his name is spelled makes it a little weird. Kuill. So Kuiil is what I would assume. But he's simply just there to try to help the Mandalorian in some ways that he can, but he's really not going it much farther than that. I will lead you where you need to go, and then I'm going to leave you there. I have spoken. Then we get into some of the more important characters that I can only assume would be more of an antagonist figure, one of which being Werner Herzog, who is just simply known as the Client. But from a lot of the trailers and some of the things that we were seeing earlier throughout the year, I imagine that he was more of an Imperial warlord trying to get enough power under him to take back control of the galaxy. Because like we've discussed before on my channel, this is post-Return of the Jedi, so the Imperial army is in disarray, and everyone's fighting for power to be gained under one ruler. So it is possible that he is one of these people trying to gain power and, influence over the people around him so he could become part of that power. He already has a personal army of stormtroopers with him, and I guarantee we're going to be seeing more throughout the story as it develops, but he's definitely not a guy that's just going to be gone in the blink of an eye. Alongside Werner Herzog's character is another villain-esque character that really caught my eye, played by Omid Ablahi. I'm hoping I'm pronouncing that right. Omid Ablahi is Dr. Pershing. Now, at first he didn't really seem like much. He looked very similar to Bodhi Rook. He had the same kind kind of style on. But this is something that really caught my eye, and not a lot of people are talking about this, and I'm honestly shocked about it. It's a little small thing, but when you realize it, it really blows your mind. This is the first character we've ever seen in live-action Star Wars to wear glasses. Now, I know that may not seem like that big of a deal, and to some of you, perhaps it's not. But it's the fact that originally I thought he was the first character ever to wear glasses in Star Wars, but I believe that title went to one of the Imperial Security Bureau characters that we saw in Season 3 of Rebels. Up until then, we have never really seen any characters wear glasses in Star Wars, and I just assumed that everyone just had perfect vision. So this is something that's really different. If there's more characters that you know of that are wearing just true glasses, not goggles, not like lenses like Maz Kanata or anything like that, just true, actual lens glasses, let me know in the comments down below, because there's really a lack of that in Star Wars. Like, it's ridiculous. So seeing this on screen in live action for the first time blew my mind. And I'm apparently the only one that is shocked by this. But check it out, it's pretty interesting. We were also introduced to one of the cooler droids in the Star Wars universe, IG-11, not IG-88. But he is an IG unit that is played by Taika Waititi, who's not really so much more of an actor as he is a director. You may know him as the director from Thor Ragnarok and the upcoming Thor Love and Thunder. But right from the get-go, you see his character, and I was instantly like amazed and terrified by this character. Obviously, assassin droids are known for being insane and like unstoppable. As I'm sure some of you may have known if you go back and played Star Wars Shadows of the Empire for either the PC or the Nintendo 64 at the time, IG-88 was terrifying. Not so much for the 64-bit, but the fact that he could just leap ridiculous bounds and he was almost unkillable. And we see that perfectly in this first episode as he walks into a camp of bandits and just completely just decimates everything, and his movements are just creepy, so it just adds to the character. Unfortunately, he's not around long as he gets shot in the head at the very end of the episode, but I mean, I'm sure Taika Waititi's got a lot of things to do. But that does lead into the interesting point of the very end of this show. When we're going back to mentioning the client is talking to the Mandalorian saying he's the best in the parsec, and he's got a bounty for him. He's going to be paying him in Mandalorian steel, which is apparently very rare at this point in the galaxy, and he's trying to get all he can back to his people. That's the kicker here, is that the client he gives him no information but the last 4 digits of a security number of some sort. No anything, he just gives him the tracking beacon. That's it. There's no hollow beacon showing him an image of what he's looking for, just what it is. And believe me when I say the bounty, when it's revealed to everyone in this episode, is ridiculous, as it is a baby species of one we only know as Yoda. Now, I assume this comes as a shock to a lot of people, some not so much. Let me give you a rundown here. So, Yoda is a species that is unknown to us. He doesn't have a named species. We don't see more of him except for a couple. In the old Knights of the Old Republic games, we see Master Vandar. He is one of the examples of this. And in The Phantom Menace, we see Yaddle, a Jedi Master on the Jedi Council that is the exact same species as Yoda. But both of them eventually were slowly taken out of canon, and then we were stuck with just the one to give us the illusion that he was supposed to be the only one of his species, and that his species would never be named. So there's a lot here. This is the boldest move you could make in Star Wars, I believe. And I mean the absolute boldest move. I do think they did it really clever, though. This thing was a complete infant, yet saying that it was 50 years old, and they were like mentioning that species age different. As we know, Yoda was 900 when he passes away in Return of the Jedi. So it's no surprise to me that, you know, this big, he's 50 years old. I completely believe that. But it's just the concept of what they're getting themselves into and what they're going to be preparing us for as the viewers watching this story develop around this tiny child, Yoda-ling. We don't know what it's called. We don't know what the species is called. They could possibly name it in the show and claim that there are more of them, which would be a huge shock factor. Really, just like, there's a lot here. And as the show progresses, I'm sure we're going to learn more, but I need to know. Are we going to get to know more about this species? Are we going to see the planet they're from? Maybe. Are they truly from Dagobah? We just don't know it. Who knows? But I assume all of that will eventually be revealed in the following episodes to come. But overall, this show is absolutely amazing, guys. This is everything that everyone from the original trilogy wanted, as I can only assume. Everyone that watched it said that it was just like watching the older guys come in and create Star Wars, playing with their toys again from their toy box. That's what Dave Filoni was replying it to. He was explaining that it was just like taking all of your Star Wars toys out of the toy bin and creating your own story. So between Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau, they've done an absolutely fantastic job, and I could not be happier with this first rendition of a Star Wars live-action TV show. But what do you guys think? Do you have Disney Plus? Are you borrowing it from a friend or a parent? And have you watched the first episode of The Mandalorian? Let me know in the comments down below. I want to talk about it. But until episode 2 comes out this Friday for me to review on my channel as well as on Twitch with Joker's Movie Network, that is going to be it for this video, guys. Remember, if you like what you saw, be sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Let me know in the comments down below if you want to see more review videos or if you'd like to see anything else. But until then, and as always, I will see you guys next time.